The camera lens flickered to life. A ring light glowed in the corner of the room, washing her in soft light. Her voice trembled at first, but her eyes never left the screen. "Everybody thinks my life is perfect," she began, her hands clasping the chair for strength. "But tonight, you're going to hear the truth." Her name was Danielle Rivers, a 33-year-old hairstylist known across town, not just for her skill with scissors, but for her charisma, her laughter, and her gift for making women feel beautiful again. She had built a reputation, a small empire even, from the ground up. Clients adored her, Instagram followers praised her, and she had become a name people whisper with admiration. But behind the charm and the polished curls, Danielle carried a secret that would cost her everything. For years, Danielle lived on the thumb of her husband, Marcus Rivers. Marcus was no ordinary man, a businessman with powerful friends. He moved through the community with a smile that had sharp teeth. To everyone else, he was successful, respectable. To Danielle, he was a cage. He controlled the money, the car keys, even the passwords to their Wi-Fi. He convinced her that without him, she would have nothing. And for a while, Danielle believed him. But the thing about underdogs, they endure, they survive, and when they finally snap, their roar shakes the ground. It started with whispers in her salon chair. Women who came in with bruises hidden under makeup. Women who laughed nervously when asked about home. Danielle saw herself in them. She listened, and then she began to question. Late at night, after Marcus had passed out with a drink in his hand, Danielle would scribble in a journal. She documented every controlling move, every cruel word, every betrayal. And the betrayals piled high. Marcus had mistresses, plural. He paraded them in front of her friends, confident Danielle would never speak. After all, who would believe a stylist against a man with power and money? But Marcus underestimated the fire inside her. On that humid July evening, Danielle positioned her phone on the dresser and clicked go live. Her followers, hundreds of them, joined within seconds. At first, they thought it was a hair tutorial, maybe another motivational chat she sometimes shared after long days at the salon. But when they saw the shadows under her eyes, the sharp edge in her tone, they leaned closer to their screens. "I want the world to know who Marcus Rivers really is," she said, her voice shaking but rising with every word. She revealed the infidelities, the manipulation. The bruises had faded but left scars. She spoke of bank accounts drained, of being treated like property instead of a wife. And then, as thousands tuned in, she dropped the final bombshell, receipts, screenshots, and photos proving Marcus's involvement in shady deals that could ruin his career. The comments section exploded. Viewers typed furiously, "Stay safe, Danielle. He can't get away with this. You're so brave." But bravery has a cost. Marcus walked in midstream. The door slammed like a gunshot. His face twisted as he saw the phone in her hands, the chat rolling with live witnesses. "Turn it off," he hissed. Danielle didn't. Her eyes locked on the camera. "This is who he really is," she said, her voice steady now. "And if anything happens to me, you know who's responsible." The words hung in the air like a prophecy. Marcus lunged. Viewers screamed through their screens, typing frantic warnings she would never see. The camera fell sideways, capturing only shadows, muffled cries, and the final chilling silence. The live stream cut out, but the damage was done. Within minutes, the video had gone viral. Danielle's last act of defiance had shattered Marcus's carefully built mask. Police were flooded with calls. Friends stormed his house. Neighbors whispered horrified as flashing lights painted the street in red and blue. Marcus had power. But now, Danielle had the truth, and truth has a way of outliving even its messenger. When officers dragged him out in handcuffs, his face still glistening with sweat, the crowd outside erupted. Some shouted for justice. Others wept for Danielle. And Marcus, for the first time, looked small. Danielle's salon became a shrine. Candles, flowers, handwritten notes lined the front windows. Clients gathered, not just to mourn, but to remember the underdog who finally stood up. The live stream, saved and shared millions of times, was now evidence. Danielle had spoken from the grave, and her testimony was undeniable. But justice is never straightforward. Marcus had allies, men with money, lawyers with tricks, friends in high places. Rumors swirled that he would find a way out, that the trial would collapse, that Danielle's death would be in vain. And yet, every day, more women came forward. Women who had been silenced. Women who now felt empowered to speak, because Danielle had gone first. Danielle's story isn't just about betrayal or violence. It's about the danger of underestimating someone who's been quiet too long. Marcus believed he owned her. He believed he could erase her with one act of violence. But her voice, captured in that live stream, made her immortal. Her courage exposed him. Her death condemned him. And her story continues to inspire those still trapped in cages of their own. But here's where the story twists again. Just weeks before the trial, a mysterious letter surfaced, one allegedly written by Marcus from inside a cell. In it, he threatened not only Danielle's family, but also hinted at names of powerful figures who had everything to lose if he went down. The letter vanished before police could authenticate it. And now, whispers circulate that Marcus may not have acted alone that night. That maybe, just maybe, Danielle had uncovered something far bigger than infidelity. Her live stream was only the beginning. The courtroom was packed, every seat filled, every corner lined with faces hungry for justice. Danielle Rivers was not just a hairstylist anymore. She was a symbol, a voice that refused to be silenced, even in death. Marcus Rivers sat at the defense table, dressed in an expensive suit paid for by men who thought they could still protect him. His smug grin remained, though thinner now, as cameras flashed. To the world, he still wanted to project confidence. To those who knew better, he looked like a man clinging to a crumbling throne. But Marcus wasn't on trial alone. Not anymore. Weeks after Danielle's murder, the letter Marcus allegedly wrote from prison had surfaced in whispers. A cousin of Danielle's claimed he'd intercepted it, and inside were chilling threats against Danielle's sister, against her salon, and against anyone who dared testify. But there was more. The letter hinted at names, city officials, wealthy businessmen, who had partnered with Marcus in schemes of fraud and money laundering. Danielle, in her final live stream, had only scratched the surface. Her journal, discovered in a locked drawer at the salon, detailed what she pieced together. Marcus wasn't just cheating on her. He was laundering money through his business ventures and using her silence to keep his empire safe. Danielle had known too much, and that knowledge had made her dangerous. The prosecution wasted no time. They rolled Danielle's live stream footage before the jury. The grainy video filled the screen. Danielle's face, tired but resolute, her trembling voice telling the truth to the world. And then the sound, the slam of the door, the hiss of Marcus's voice, her chilling last words. And if anything happens to me, you know who's responsible. Jurors flinched. The courtroom fell silent, the air heavy with the weight of prophecy fulfilled. The defense tried to paint Marcus as a man provoked, a husband betrayed by a wife airing private matters. But no amount of lawyer spin could erase the live evidence. No one could unsee the truth she had left behind. And then came the witnesses. One by one, women stood up, former girlfriends, former employees, women who had once been too afraid to speak. Danielle's courage had lit a fire. Now the flames spread. Their testimonies painted Marcus not as a successful businessman, but as a predator who had hidden in plain sight for years. For the first time, Marcus couldn't hide. He couldn't buy silence, couldn't intimidate, couldn't bully. The courtroom watched him shrink as truth piled against him. But then an unexpected twist. One of the businessmen Marcus had named in his letter was subpoenaed. On the stand, under oath, he admitted to working with Marcus. He admitted Danielle's suspicions had been right. Her journal wasn't just a diary of a broken woman. It was evidence of a criminal empire. The ripple effect was instant. Suddenly, Marcus wasn't just fighting for his freedom. Powerful men who once protected him began to distance themselves, desperate to save themselves. The empire Marcus thought untouchable collapsed in days. And at the center of it all was Danielle. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. When they returned, the foreman's voice was steady. Guilty on all counts. Marcus Rivers, once untouchable, was sentenced to life without parole. The courtroom erupted, some in cheers, others in tears. Danielle's family clutched each other, grief and vindication colliding in their hearts. Marcus was led away in shackles, his smirk gone, his eyes hollow. He had silenced Danielle's voice, but in doing so, he had given her words eternal life. Today, Danielle's salon still stands, not as a business, but as a foundation. Her family turned it into a safe space for survivors of domestic violence, a place where women can seek help, find resources, and remember that silence is never the answer. Her live stream continues to circulate online, a haunting but powerful reminder. Underdogs can rise. The underestimated can shatter empires. And truth, once spoken, cannot be buried. Danielle's story ended in tragedy, but her final act became a blueprint for justice. But even as Marcus sits behind bars, one question remains. What happened to the letter? The original copy, the one Marcus allegedly wrote, has never been found. Some believe it was destroyed. Others believe it's still out there, proof of just how deep his connections ran. And if that letter resurfaces, it could bring down more names, more power, more corruption. Danielle may be gone, but the storm she unleashed is far from over, because sometimes justice is only the beginning.